everybody. I think my mic is working this time. We had a mic mishap and it did the same thing this week, but I was expecting it. So when it blinks, it is not on, but when it doesn't blink, it is. You should be able to hear me. So I do want to check. If you can hear me speaking, type number one in the comments. I think I got to fix this week, and that's pretty weird. This is something new with my mic. It didn't used to do this. But if you are joining me for the first time, welcome everybody. I am Dr. Twanna Carter, and as a career coach, I empower busy women executives who are tackling imposter syndrome and self-doubt and self-criticism, and I help them to alleviate their stress so that they can find peace of mind and fully focus on excelling in their careers. So if you're watching this from Facebook, you are welcome. YouTube, LinkedIn, you are also welcome. Twitter world, you're welcome as well. And those of you that are catching this on the replay, thank you for being here as well. You know that today's topic is, if you're just joining me, 5 strategies for Black women to combat burnout. So April is actually National Stress Awareness Month. And so that's why I'm tackling this one again, talking about burnout, because it is so important to get it right. Thank you. So I have a LinkedIn user that says, one, you can hear me. I appreciate that, because I think I went like 7 minutes last week and I figured it out, but it was 7 minutes later. So I do appreciate you for the feedback. Lovely, lovely. So again, today we're talking about strategies for Black women to combat burnout. Because we know as Black women, we often do face unique challenges, right? That can lead to burnout, from having to navigate, systemic racism to sexism in the workplace. So we have our race, we have our gender, we have age, depending on how old we are. And then we also just have juggling multiple responsibilities, right? If you're a manager, you're a leader in the office, and whether you're married or you're a single parent, you may be taking care of parents and grandparents and aunts and nieces and nephews, multiple things, right? Then we have the roles we play. We're sisters, we're wives, we're lovers, we're bowling teammates. That's a lot to juggle, and it can become overwhelming trying to catch all the balls and be all things to all people at one time. And so that's why in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 strategies that help you combat, burnout and prioritize self-care. Because at the end of the day, if you lose your mental health and if you lose your physical health, your quality of life starts to seriously decline. And it doesn't take long sometimes. So that's the reason why it is so important to manage your stress and combat burnout. So let's go ahead and jump in with tip number 1. I just want to be sure I can see my comments over here. I welcome your comments and suggestions. Love it. So go ahead, and anything that pops up for you, love to hear it in the comments, and I'll be side-eyeing my comments over here. So tip number one is to prioritize self-care, because self-care is not selfish. Now, I know that many times women, period, so Tammy says, thank you for this. Is very true. It is just so true, Tammy. Oftentimes we're socialized to think that if we do something for ourselves before someone else gets taken care of, we're being selfish. And that's not actually true. It's essential to prioritize self-care in order to prevent burnout, right? So things like, make sure you're getting enough sleep. There are very few people out there, and there's a subset of people, very small, who can operate on about 5 hours a night, 5 hours of sleep a night. That is normal for them. No problems at all. But for most of us, we're somewhere between that 7 and that 10. And I tell you, I'll be honest with you, sleep is something that I struggle with. I'm a night owl. I love being up, working 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. But once I found out that there is a link between lack of sleep, overtime lack of sleep, and dementia, it kind of woke me up. It woke me right on up. It woke me up enough to I struggle with sleep, but I'm always trying to be sure that I get enough sleep. It is one way to prevent or combat burnout. Also, be sure that you're eating healthy. And I know that if you're like me, when life gets stressful, carbs, yum, 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 the more the better. But you do have to, if you manage that stress, right, be it watching what you eat or exercising and moving your body regularly, you can combat burnout. It's basically taking time out for yourself to do things you enjoy. You know, we all do things we don't enjoy. Now, if you've got 2, 3, 4 year old kids, I know there's some time when they're trying to watch that episode of SpongeBob or whatever the cartoon is, like the 10th time, and you're like, oh, yes, we do that. But when you do that, you also got to take time out to do stuff you enjoy. You're entitled to that. You've earned that, right? And so, whether it's reading a book, there are days that I would just lay, I had the water bed, the full motion. I would lay on my water bed, kick it to just make it flow, and I would look up at the ceiling. Do your thing, relaxing bath, relaxing shower, massages, go for a walk, whatever it is. Just remember that self care is not selfish. Self care is necessary to combat burnout and to be healthy. So I think that's enough for that one. I think we got the we got the gist of it. But if you have other tips for self care, do pop those in the comments for me. I would love to hear your tips. Tip number 2 is to set boundaries. I was telling a client the other day, I didn't learn to really set boundaries till I was 40 ish because I was a people pleaser. You know, everybody else comes first, and I got to make sure everybody else is okay. And as Black women, we often feel the need to say yes to everything because we want to make everybody happy. We want to prove to people sometimes that I'm worthy of being here. I'm worthy of the salary that I'm earning. I'm worthy of this house that I live in. I'm worthy of this car that I drive. I'm worthy of the clothes that I buy. And I don't want to make anybody else feel bad. So I got to be all things to all people all the time. Whew, I got tired of saying that. Saying yes to everything can lead to burnout. It can, right? It's important to set boundaries because boundaries protect you and say no when it's necessary. Now, it's easier said in this kind of format. Yes, you should set boundaries. I know it's tough. And I also know that there are people out there who know that you have a problem saying no and they will use that against you. The the best tool for that is when someone asks you something, you say, let me get back to you. Let me get back to you. 6 words. You don't have to make a decision in the moment. Now, people do want to press you to make a decision in the moment because they know you're more apt to say yes when you really want to say no. Let me get back to you. Give me 15. Let me get back to you. Give me 30. Let me get back to you. Give me 2 hours. Let me get back to you. But do get back. Just say, I heard you and I understand. Let me get back to you. Take your time away from that. And you can feel the energy because they really want you to do something. Then you're able to say no and prioritize you, right? Prioritize. And there are things that you can do, right? To help yourself out. For me, I own 2 businesses. And so yes, there's a lot to do. And of course, as a business owner, you want to do it all because what? Nobody can do it like you can, right? At least we kind of feel that way. And I was telling someone that I'm getting ready to hire another VA. Well, why would you do that? Because there are things that I could do myself that a VA could do, that if I let the VA do that, there's more time for me to say no, hold my boundaries, and prioritize my self-care. Okay. And you can do that around the house, right? So it conserves energy, and don't be afraid to delegate tasks. If you have kids, it's age dependent, but all kids can learn to do something. Now, it means you got to step out of, can't nobody do it like I do. You're probably right. But as long as it's done in the moment and you get to free up some time, isn't that more important? Right? I work with a lot of ladies who say that, but it's about training people to eventually do it like you do, but you don't have to do everything on your own. Set those priorities, set those boundaries, learn to say no, and share the wealth of work. Okay. Tip number 3 is to definitely practice mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness has been shown by studies to actually change the brain. It does, right? Because you're in the moment, you're in the here and now at this moment, not 20 steps ahead at all those different moments, not 6 months down the road, right? You're not there. You're like here in this space and time. And mindfulness does calm, it helps to calm you in the face of stress. So, lots of things you can do for mindfulness. Take, every day meditate. Some people say, yeah, I tried it, I couldn't empty my mind. Meditation isn't about emptying your mind, it's about focusing. It's about choosing something to focus on and then focus on it. It can be something as simple as, if you like jazz music, classical music, pick a beat in that song and follow that beat all the way through. Focus on that beat throughout the whole entire song. That focuses you, and it pulls your thoughts from that 1,001 thoughts per minute, right? Practice deep breathing. It's a wonderful way to learn to meditate is concentrate on the breathing. Again, you're not emptying your mind of thoughts, but rather refocusing your mind to your breathing. Be your out breath, your in breath, whichever one. Okay. And also, it's helpful to take walks in nature, especially if you're like me and you're an introvert. Spending time in nature is very important and is very helpful. They said, I ran across an article a couple of years ago that said in Japan, doctors prescribe nature as treatment. In other words, give you a prescription to go outdoors and spend time. That's how helpful it is, from just being in the fresh air, being out with the extra oxygen, and the plants are giving enough oxygen because they're taking in carbon dioxide. It's the sun, provided you don't get too much sun, but the sun's rays, all of that is helpful, right? Mindfulness can really help you stay centered and stay focused even in the midst of chaos. And it's not that difficult to do. So many things that you can do. All right. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is, don't be afraid to seek support. Whether it's from your family, your friends, a therapist, a coach, hypnotist, do seek support. Women tend to be processors, right? And for us, talking what's going on up here in that space in between the two ears, talking it out, it does a couple of things. Yes, someone is hearing you and you're getting it out of your mind. But as you're talking, you're processing what you're saying and turning it around and seeing it in different lights. That's typically what women do. Okay. So talking to someone can make you feel better, even if they can't resolve a problem. But really, you're not talking to resolve a problem anyway. You just want to feel heard, that someone else either sees it like you do or hears it. It's incredibly helpful when you're talking about combating burnout. Okay. So I always give this caution when I say seek support, because if you have a mother, brother, cousin, friend, daughter, aunt, sister, grandmother who says things like this to you, you can't get nothing right. Just never, can you? It's just always something with you. What is it now? Oh my gosh. What if you screwed up now? You need to talk. What if you screwed up again? What did you mess up this time? Yeah, so what? Big deal. Get over that and keep it moving. The people in your lives that say things like that to you, not a support system. That's not a support system. It's not a healthy support system. So you really do have to be sure you let go of the energy vampires, and the people who bring you down. Seek support with the folks who are helpful, uplifting. Not to say that you can't be reality based, but people that are always disparaging, ragging on you, not a great support system. They will help bring you further down into burnout, right? Because again, we're talking about ways to combat burnout. Those people don't help you when you're going through burnout. Okay. And so the 5th tip that I have for you today is, do take breaks. And that is, when I work with my clients, and especially for those that are doing burnout, we're working on burnout and we're working on anxiety. I tell them 6 to 8 times a day, you need to take breaks. So that's not always a 15, 20-minute break. It may be a 2 or 3 minute break because I teach them different techniques so they can carry through their day and take those breaks. So yes, you need the breaks 2, 3, 4 minutes. And if you can fit it in 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, but take those breaks through your day. Make it a part of your day to take breaks. Also, it's important to take off from the job. If you are a single parent, find a reliable babysitter or put your kids in daycare and you take off from the job. Take those breaks. I used to. Every year I used to work at a corporation. We got one personal time off, one PTO day. We had sick leave and we had leave, but we had a personal day, one a year. And I would always make my day off the year my kids went back to school. Okay. That day off, I would get them all up, drive them to private school, drop them off, and then I'd come back home. That was my day, right? And so I do advise you to take more than just one day. But look, if it starts as one day, it starts as one day. Take the breaks. Your brain does need that space, right? I've talked about before, there are 7 types of rest. If you don't know what the 7 types of rest are, drop rest in the comments and I'll get those to you. But there's 7 types of rest that you do need to go through when you take those breaks. And that's what helps you to combat burnout, right? Because otherwise, if you don't take time off from going to handling all those responsibilities, and oftentimes it's multiple things and it's multiple generations. We know about the sandwich generation where you have your kids and you're taking care of your parents, but a lot of folks are taking care of spouses and they're taking care of extended family members, right? And so you do need that time to break and recharge your battery, whether it's a weekend getaway, it's a 4-hour getaway, it's a staycation. Take that time off to rejuvenate. Again, I typically teach my clients 6 to 8 times a day, take a break. And then when you can, the longer breaks and then the time off from work, right? So, if you've been listening or you're just joining today, I'm talking about 5 strategies for Black women to combat, right? Burnout, because it's a stealer. It steals your career, and burnout can steal your health if you don't take care of it, right? I've seen folks who can't work anymore, whose health has declined because burnout kind of sneaks in unawares. And if you don't combat it the right way, it just steals your livelihood, your happiness, and your career. Okay. So today we talked about prioritizing self-care, setting those boundaries, practicing mindfulness, getting the right kind of support, and taking breaks, right? Because remember, this is good for you. It's not just good for you. It does help those around you, but it helps you too. And that's important to know. So if you're here and this really resonates with you and you're feeling burned out in your career, I think I love my job, but I hate going into it. I don't know what's up. That is one of the classic signs of burnout, right? And so DM me the word. Give me a thumbs up. You can DM me thumbs up across any of my social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, any of my media, YouTube as well. DM me a thumbs up or the word burnout, and I'll reach out to you and I'll get you set up with a free career solution call. And we'll talk about what a step-by-step plan looks like for you to overcome burnout so you can find the joy and peace in your life again. I understand it. I've been there before, and you've earned the right to have a career that's fulfilling as well as a life that is peace-filled, not just peaceful, but peace-filled that you enjoy. So that's what I have for you today. Join me the same time next week, same time, same space, and I'll be doing another live. I'm here every Wednesday, 8:35 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:35 Central Time, and 5:35 Pacific Standard Time, right? Thanks for watching, and I hope that these strategies help you combat burnout. Bye-bye.